All right, here you go. This is my custom plug and play turn signal and horn kit specifically designed for the wired bikes. So you get signals up front and horn, the bracket to mount it on. And then in the back, you get two separate signals on a bracket right here behind the tail light. You also get your button cluster up here. You can mount on the bar so you can do your signals here, left and right. And then the top one is hazard lights, 4-way flash. Show you what that looks like. Get your blinkers going in the front. And the blinkers going in the back. So you got the hazard light button up here, turn signal switch, and then this is the horn. And I didn't give you a little tiny Greenway horn. We basically put a scooter or a motorcycle style horn on there. So it's got some good volume to it. I wanted a horn specifically for traffic. So here you go, you ready? Nice and loud. That's one thing that a lot of folks have told me they really wanted to have on these bikes is a good loud horn. So you got it with this kit. And this is custom design. I custom made this whole thing, the wire links, the brackets, the button clusters, the relays, everything's custom built just how I wanted it. That's why it's taken so long. And it'll handle any voltage of wired bike. You can put it on the 60 volts, you can put it on the 72 volts. It'll be fine. I've got a step down unit here to step the voltage down so you're not gonna burn out your lights when you connect this to a 72 volt Predator. And here's an example of why it was so important for me to have that voltage step down in my kit, because if you're plugging into 60 volt or 72 volt like the wired bikes, you need a way to step that voltage down. Otherwise, this is an example of what could happen. You could melt right through the lights if you don't have that. So it'll fit any model of wired. It also fits any year. It doesn't matter what year you got the wired bike, this will be plug and play and will fit. Now that you've seen kind of what the final install looks like, let me show you in better detail what comes in the kit and all the pieces and parts you're gonna get. Front mounting bracket that's gonna mount to the front fork. The horn and signals are already attached. We got our relay right here, the power cord that we're gonna plug in. This is the only plug you have to plug into the bike, and you got power to the lights. We have our switches here. We're gonna mount to the handlebars. And then there's just one long skinny wire that goes through the frame back to our rear signals on that bracket there. All the brackets and everything are included. And I also want to point out that everything is detachable. So there's a plug right here. If you want to detach those signals, you're gonna have to run the wire through the frame. But the power plug, there's a plug here to detach. Same with the button cluster, can be detached there, and the signals and horn. Everything is on its own separate plug. So in the event that you crash this bike or knock it over and you break the rear signals, or smash up the button cluster here, you can just unplug that and I can send you a replacement part. And this piece that's floating around, this is an adapter piece. It'll be in the kit if you have a wired Predator. The Predator has double crown forks, different forks on it, so it won't mount the same. You're gonna need that adapter. I'll show you that in a second. So those are all the pieces that will come with the kit. Should have everything you need to do a nice clean install like this. You'll even get this wire wrap. I'm gonna provide a wire wrap with this little sock right here that holds the relay. So you'll get this in the kit as well. There is also an attachment piece that is specifically meant for the Predator, because the Predator has those different forks, the double crown forks, and you don't have this like hoop right here to mount the bracket to. So there's an adapter piece, a little extension piece that allows you to mount on the Predator and kind of avoid your wires up here on the front. Gives you some extra spacing. And I really wanted to make this as easy as I possibly could. So let me show you how you actually power the light kit. All right, next step, we're gonna find a spot for our relay. Let's just remove this original Velcro wire wrap, and we're gonna find a spot to mount our relay in here. And we also have to find our display plug. That's where we're gonna intercept and get power for our signal kit. So there's your green display plug. We got to find the power plug from our light kit, which is right here. So we're just going to take my light kit and plug it into the wiring harness right there like that, a little 5-pin plug. And then we're going to take the wire display and we're going to plug it right into the other end of my light kit. Boom. We just kind of jumped in the middle there between the display and the wiring harness. That's where we're going to steal our power from. So this light kit runs off the bike batteries. Now we have our provided, this is my sample, my homemade. The one I send you is going to be just solid black. I won't have wired on it, but I made this to kind of show you what you're going to get. It's just a little sock here, kind of on the outside of the wire wrap that's going to hold our relay like that and keep it nice. I just thought it'd be nice to have something to hold the relay out of view. So now we're going to wrap this around all the wires, kind of tuck everything in there, get it looking nice and pretty. Super simple, plug and play. I'm just stealing the power right here by plugging directly into the wiring harness. And as long as there's batteries in the bike and there's juice running into that wiring harness, everything will function. You can see the bike's not even on right now, but you know, the kit still works. You still get horn and you still get signals. It's still got power going to it. I'm just tapping directly into that power line to feed the turn signals and the horn. I like plug and play. I know people like plug and play. So that's it. All you really have to do for the install, let's talk about install. You know, first thing is just you mount the front bracket with the horn and the signals attached to it right here. It uses the same bolt that you use to mount your fender on with. It's just that same, you reuse the stock hardware. You just kind of slip that bracket in back behind there, mount your signals and horn on the front, and then you get a mounting bracket. You mount your signals here on the back as a bracket slips in right behind the taillight and uses the stock taillight nuts and bolts right here to hold this bracket on, which holds your signals. And the last thing to do, well, you saw me plug in you plug in right here to get your power and put your relay in the sock. The hardest part is going to be fishing the wire through the frame, but even that was very, very easy because the wire that's got to go through the frame is just a really thin wire with a small Gillette plug on the end of it. So a lot of times when if you've ever put wires through a frame on one of these bikes, sometimes you got to remove this right here, this lock mechanism right here to get the wire past, or right here where the battery kind of docks down in. Sometimes you got to remove that piece. But now with this kit, the wire is so thin and the plug is so small, I could slip it right past both of those. And I mean, it went through the frame. So simple. You don't have to remove anything. And then once you get down into the controller box here, you just feed it out the back and you follow the taillight wire, just zip tying all the way up to the back. And right here's your turn signal, plugs right in right there. Very easy to install this. Anybody should be able to install. So custom designed, plug and play specifically to fit these bikes. So the final design on these is basically done. I am making one change. I am changing out the turn signals. I'm not going to use these pointy turn signals that, let me throw the four ways on again, that do the sequential blink. I'm going to like rectangular blinkers that just do flash, normal flasher instead of this sequential thing here. So the only thing that'll be different will be these will be different signals. I think the other ones are actually brighter, which I want them as bright as they can be. So we're going to change those out. And then the big question is timeline. You know, when are these going to be out? Like I said, I'm going to put them on pre-order right now because I'm going to fill orders in the order in which they are received. So if you want to be one of the first in line, you can pre-order. If you want to just wait for them to be in stock, you can do that too. Doesn't matter. I'm going to order a batch regardless, but it's first come, first serve. So keep that in mind. And we're into September now. It's going to be, they told me 30 days to make a batch of these and probably another 30 to 40 to actually get them from overseas into my hands to be able to send out to customers. So we're looking at, you know, the end of November probably before I'm going to be able to get these in your hands. I know no one likes to order and wait. I don't either, but I'm going as fast as I can. I wanted to have these out months ago, but being that this thing is, you know, 100, this isn't an off-the-shelf thing. This is completely designed. I've gone through 4 different versions that they've sent me for testing and tweaking, and I wanted it to be perfect and simple and plug and play and just bolt up perfectly on there. So I'm going as fast as I possibly can. I am pushing and pushing and pushing them to get these out as quick as we can. But that's my timeline right now, probably end of November before we're going to see these in my hands and able to send out to you. Of course, once I get the final sample, I'll show that again, and I'm going to do a real detailed install video from start to finish so you can see the whole process and how it goes. Well, that is the update, everyone. That's where we stand on the turn signal and horn kit for the wired bike. Thank you so much for everyone for taking an interest in this. I know there was a lot of people that wanted these wired bikes to have signals and a robust horn. So I'm doing my best to try to make that happen as easily as possible and as quick as I possibly can. But I'll keep you informed of any more updates as we go. That's all I got for you today. I guess I'll see you in the next one.